Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, or as I call it, Star Wars. It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. During the battle, Rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Leia races home aboard her starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can restore freedom to the galaxy. Bum ba da bum ba da ba 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 da ba dum ba ba da bum ba 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 ba. In the 19 years since the Empire was formed, it has strengthened its hold on the planets of the galaxy. Above Tatooine, a giant Imperial Star Destroyer pursues Princess Leia's blockade runner. A laser strikes the ship and disables it. "We're doomed," C-3PO frets. "There will be no escape for the princess this time." Princess Leia has survived many dangerous missions for her father, Bail Organa, of Alderaan, but this time she's been caught. Aboard the blockade runner, members of her crew take up defensive positions. Bum bum ba-da-ba-da-dum, bum bum ba-da-ba-da-dum. Imperial stormtroopers blast their way into Leia's ship. Darth Vader leads the hunt for the stolen plans. The soldiers report back that the Death Star plans aren't aboard the ship and no transmissions were made. "Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans," Vader orders, "and bring me the passengers. I want them alive." Elsewhere in the ship, C-3PO finds Princess Leia with R2-D2. As the princess slips away, R2-D2 speeds off down the corridor, and C-3PO follows him. R2-D2 boards an escape pod, beeping and whistling that he's on a secret mission. C-3PO doesn't like the sound of that. "I'm going to regret this," he predicts. The droids blast away from the ship, toward Tatooine. Stormtroopers capture Princess Leia and take her to Vader. "I am a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan," she tells Vader. "You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor," Vader insists. "Take her away." One of Vader's commanders informs him that an escape pod was launched. "She must have hidden the plans in the escape pod." Vader orders troops to go down to Tatooine and retrieve them. On the desert planet, C-3PO and R2-D2 argue about which direction to travel in and decide to go separate ways. C-3PO wanders through the dunes before desperately flagging down a sandcrawler operated by Jawas. The same Jawas later capture R2-D2. They sell both droids to Owen Lars, the moisture farmer who lives with his wife Beru and his nephew, Luke Skywalker. While cleaning a droid in the garage, Luke discovers a fragment of a holographic message. A beautiful young woman begs, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." Luke wonders if she is referring to Ben Kenobi, a hermit who lives beyond the Dune Sea. When Luke asks to see the message again, R2-D2 says it's a private message for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before Luke can investigate further, his Aunt Beru calls him to dinner. At dinner, Luke tells his Uncle Owen about the message. "I thought he might have meant old Ben," Luke says. Owen tells Luke that Obi-Wan died about the same time as Luke's father. "You knew my father?" Luke asks eagerly. Owen orders him to erase R2's memory. Luke returns to the garage, but R2-D2 has escaped. The next morning, Luke and C-3PO head to retrieve R2-D2. They catch up with R2, but are attacked by Tusken Raiders, and Luke is knocked unconscious. Ben Kenobi appears, frightening the Tuskens away. When Luke comes to, he explains about R2-D2's mission to find Obi-Wan Kenobi and asks if Ben knows him. The old man smiles and says, "Of course I know him. He's me." At his house, Obi-Wan explains, "I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father." This is news to Luke, who thought his father was a navigator on a space freighter. Obi-Wan tells Luke he has something for him, his father's lightsaber. "How did my father die?" Luke asks. "A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine before he turned to evil," Obi-Wan says. "He betrayed and murdered your father. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force." Obi-Wan plays a message R2-D2 has risked so much to bring him. In it, Princess Leia says that she has placed vital information vital to the rebellion's survival in R2's memory. She begs Obi-Wan to take the droid to her father on Alderaan. "You must learn the ways of the Force," Obi-Wan tells Luke, "if you are to come with me to Alderaan." Luke says he can't get involved, but offers to give Obi-Wan a ride into town. In the desert, Luke and Obi-Wan discover the ruins of the Sandcrawler that belonged to the Jawas who sold him the droids. Obi-Wan concludes that only stormtroopers could have destroyed it. Luke realizes the troopers must have been looking for the droids. He races across the desert and finds his home in flames, his aunt and uncle dead. Returning to Obi-Wan, Luke says, "I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing here for me now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father." Along with the droids, Obi-Wan and Luke head for Mos Eisley in search of a star pilot who can take them to Alderaan. On their way there, stormtroopers stop and question them. Luke begins to panic, but Obi-Wan uses the Force to trick the soldiers. "These aren't the droids you're looking for," Obi-Wan tells the troopers. "These aren't the droids we're looking for," the trooper repeats. Obi-Wan leads them to a cantina filled with rough, lawless aliens. There they meet a pair of scruffy smugglers, Han Solo and the Wookiee Chewbacca. Obi-Wan and Luke negotiate a price for passage to Alderaan aboard their ship, the Millennium Falcon. After Obi-Wan and Luke leave the cantina, Greedo, a bounty hunter working for the crime lord Jabba the Hutt, appears to collect the reward for bringing Han in. He holds Han at gunpoint, but the two get into a blaster fight, and Han escapes. Luke, Obi-Wan, and the droids board the Millennium Falcon just as a squad of stormtroopers arrives. Han blasts the troopers as the Falcon takes off. They elude Imperial Star Destroyers and jump to hyperspace on their way to Alderaan. Aboard the freighter, Obi-Wan begins teaching Luke how to draw on the powers of the Force. "Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him," he says. Still holding Princess Leia captive, Vader interrogates her, but she refuses to reveal the location of the rebel base. Moff Tarkin, the Death Star's commander, suggests they test the space station's super laser on her home planet of Alderaan as a way to persuade her. "No, Alderaan is peaceful," Leia pleads. She names Dantooine as the site of the rebel base, but Tarkin fires the laser anyway, destroying Alderaan. When the Millennium Falcon arrives at Alderaan, the planet isn't there. All that's left is rubble. An Imperial TIE fighter flies by the Millennium Falcon, and Han tries to destroy it before it can reach a small moon nearby. "That's no moon," Obi-Wan realizes. "It's a space station." Han tries to turn around, but the Millennium Falcon is caught in a powerful tractor beam and drawn aboard the Death Star. Bum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-da-dum. The Falcon's passengers hide in secret compartments. "I use them for smuggling," Han says. "I never thought I'd be smuggling myself in them." Stormtroopers search the ship but find nothing. Han and Luke ambush a pair of troopers and steal their armor. In the control room, R2-D2 taps into the Death Star computer system. Obi-Wan learns the location of the tractor beam and sets off to disable it. He tells the others to wait for him, but R2-D2 discovers Princess Leia is a prisoner aboard. Luke wants to rescue her, but Han thinks they should stay put. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be, well, more wealth than you can imagine. Leaving the droids behind, they head off to save Leia. The rescue is a mess. Luke frees the princess, but he, Han, Leia, and Chewbacca are trapped by stormtroopers. This is some rescue, Leia says. She leads them into a garbage masher, but the Imperials activate it with them inside. At the last moment, Luke manages to contact the droids, and they shut down the compactor so the four of them can escape. Elsewhere, Obi-Wan finds and shuts down the tractor beam, holding the Millennium Falcon captive. But Darth Vader has sensed his old master's presence and searches for him, hoping to avenge his defeat of long ago. "I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan," Vader says. "We meet again at last." Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewbacca head for the Millennium Falcon, but get separated as troopers chase them. Han and Chewbacca barely escape a squad of stormtroopers, and Luke and Leia swing across a deep shaft to get away. All reunite in the docking bay, where C-3PO and R2-D2 are hiding. The stormtroopers guarding the Falcon suddenly rush away. "Now's our chance," Han says. The fugitives run for the ship, but Luke stops in horror. Vader and Obi-Wan are locked in a lightsaber battle. Seeing that Luke will escape, Obi-Wan stops fighting, allowing Vader to strike him down. Obi-Wan vanishes, leaving behind nothing but his cloak and lightsaber. Luke panics, but hears Obi-Wan's voice. "Run, Luke, run!" Luke races aboard the Millennium Falcon. With Han and Luke at the guns, the Millennium Falcon escapes, blasting 4 TIE fighters and jumping into hyperspace. "Not a bad bit of rescuing, huh?" Han congratulates himself. "They let us go," Leia says. "They're tracking us." The princess is right. The Empire has put a homing beacon aboard the Millennium Falcon, hoping it will lead them to the Rebel base. The Millennium Falcon reaches the base and delivers the stolen plans for the Death Star. The rebels discover a weakness in the battle station. In order to destroy the Death Star, a starfighter pilot will have to skim the surface and fly down a trench past laser cannons. The pilot must then fire proton torpedoes into an exhaust port just 2 meters wide. If he can make the shot, it will start a reaction that will destroy the space station. "That's impossible," one pilot says, but Luke disagrees. He takes to the skies as an X-Wing fighter pilot, along with R2-D2. Han refuses to help. He takes his reward and heads off to pay Jabba the Hutt. It's a fight against time and power. In 15 minutes, the Death Star will be within range to blast the Rebel base. At first, the Rebel attack goes well. The Death Star's guns aren't quick enough to hit the small Rebel fighters. The Empire launches TIE fighters to battle the Rebels one-on-one. "Several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me," Darth Vader says, ordering 2 TIE fighter pilots to join him in a new assault. Chasing down the divided fighters, Vader destroys 2 groups of Rebel pilots that are trying to hit the exhaust port. Luke and 2 other X-Wings are the Rebels' last hope, and there's only a minute left until the Death Star will strike. Luke and his wingmen race down the trench. One Rebel fighter is forced to break away after its damage. Vader guns down the other, leaving Luke alone as he races toward the exhaust port. Vader and the TIE fighters close in, but a laser blast from above takes out one TIE fighter. The Millennium Falcon has returned! Vader's other wingman collides with him, sending Vader spinning into space. Han whoops in triumph. "You're all clear, kid," he yells to Luke. "Now let's blow this thing and go home." Luke activates his targeting computer. He hears Obi-Wan's voice. "Use the Force, Luke." He turns off the computer and fires 2 torpedoes into the exhaust port. It's a direct hit. The Death Star explodes in a massive ball of fire. Han congratulates Luke. "Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million." Luke hears Obi-Wan's voice again. "Remember, the Force will be with you. Always." Luke, Han, and Chewbacca return to a hero's welcome. With the droids and Chewbacca looking on, Princess Leia awards Luke and Han medals for their service to the Rebel Alliance. Bum ba dum ba dum ba 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 ba.